Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode on It's Time. I met a few young men who were having conversation about foreigners taking all the opportunities in Africa, especially the Lebanese and the Indians. And I felt the conversation was unhealthy because I think the young men felt entitled. They felt somebody was going to come and offer them these opportunities that they felt other people, other nationals were taking. On this episode, I want to talk about how do we deal with finding opportunity and what lessons we can learn from the successes of the Lebanese and the Indians in Africa. So the first thing I want to say is that the Lebanese and the Indians are really successful in Africa, and there's nothing bad about it. I think that we need to begin to see what are the lessons we can learn from their successes, because they didn't steal from anybody. They came, they started businesses, and they succeeded. They also had a lot of failures, but you don't hear the failures. All you see is the successes. So let's talk deeply about what we as Africans need to do to succeed here as a case study, learning from the Lebanese and Indians. So the first thing I want to talk about is the traveler's mentality. The traveler's mentality is the mindset of anybody who goes to a new location and decides to build a life there. So typically you'll find Africans relocating to the Americas and also to Europe and wanting to find a new life. They go with zeal and determination to succeed. They work harder than everybody else. They do so much, and you can't believe that it's the same person who was in his country and probably wasn't engaged or wasn't very, very determined to succeed. So the traveler's mentality is one powerful reason why you find the Lebanese and Indians and other nationals do very well in this part of the world. They usually come and their mind is, we are away from home, we didn't come to joke, we are coming to look for opportunities that will make us succeed. And so they come in, they work hard, they look out for opportunities. Sometimes they look at things that we don't even value and they take advantage of it. And so I want to say, don't we need to change our mentality as Africans when we are on our continent? Or shouldn't we consider moving around even within the continent? There are people who are in particular countries who have never crossed the border to the next country. And sometimes when you move, you begin to see opportunity. And so the first reason why I think the Lebanese and the Indians succeed all across Africa is they travel, they're travelers. And as travelers, they have a mentality that they need to succeed before they go home. And so I want us to look at that as a key factor why they succeed. And it's also clear that when we leave our continent and we go to other continents, we do a better job at aiming to succeed than we do when we are home. The next reason why I think the Lebanese and Indians do very well when they travel is when you travel, you seem to look for like people, sometimes physically, or people who probably come from your homeland as family. And so they more than often bond together and help each other. It's the same when we travel abroad and we find every black person. We assume that every black person is a brother, is a friend. And I remember when I was in the US, the closest African I knew was a Ugandan, and everybody called him my brother because we probably are black and we are both from Africa. But in the continent, Uganda is as far as you can imagine from Ghana. So that's the second reason why you find the Lebanese doing very well, because they help each other, they work together as a team, and they share their learnings. And so they both come as foreigners, but they share their learnings. Unfortunately, on the continent, we don't engage enough to share our learnings. And I think that is a great opportunity there for us to begin to share our learnings, try and support each other to succeed here. This is our land, and we can do a better job at that. The third reason is, as you move from one place to another, you bring some local knowledge you have from your locality into a new area or into a new locality. You find things that people do from where you come from that have made them successful, that you think of replicating that in a new place. So usually the Lebanese will come and they would know maybe a particular trade or business that happens in their place that they could try and do also here. And a typical example is West Africans in South Africa. Most West Africans in South Africa are great business people. And it's mainly because they've learned some things in West Africa that usually you would not easily find in South Africa. And they begin to put that into use so that they can count that as a way of succeeding. And I think that we all have some local knowledge. We all have some experiences that we can look around and put to use in other places that people do not have them or people have not done them. And also one thing I want to say is that usually Africans travel. We travel to the west, we travel to the east, and yet when we see things there, we don't try to replicate them here. I think that nobody has a monopoly of invention or monopoly on invention. And I think that we should all take the opportunity to learn other things from other places and begin to succeed in our current locality. And I think that that's one key reason why the Lebanese and then the Indians do very well in Africa. The other major reason is that when Africans travel, we travel in search for jobs. True or false? I think that's true. When Africans travel, we predominantly travel in search for jobs. When Chinese people travel, they hardly look for jobs. They are looking for an opportunity to start a business. When the Lebanese travel, they're also looking for an opportunity to put their skills to work, to start a business. They know that business is the more likely way to be successful. Getting a job may not necessarily make you rich. And so these people tend to travel, but when they do travel into Africa, they are always looking for an opportunity to have a business rather than have a job. A lot of us have been trained to think of go to school, do well, and get a job. However, the continent has changed significantly. In the 60s and the 70s, there were many companies, multinationals looking for employees, especially people who had education. Today, you have a lot of people who are quite educated or very educated, and there aren't as much opportunities to serve everybody. For that reason, youth unemployment is on the rise, and one way of getting out of that is for young people to begin to think having a business is a good option. I know people who have been home in search for a job for the last 6 years. And I've wondered, why would you wait so long in search for a job? I think that we need to encourage people to try their hands at doing business. They may succeed, they may fail, but whether you fail or succeed, you learn something valuable. The very last reason why I think the Lebanese and Indians do very well in this part of the world is that they ignore the imperfections of the places they go to. So, for example, we know that Africa is not as developed as other places. However, they are not fixated or worried or too angry about whether there's a Wi-Fi or whatever there is. They are here to look for opportunity. And opportunity is looking for value that you can add for people to pay you for. And so these people tend to look for all sorts of things that are valuable. So in places where there isn't enough electricity, they are happy to go into the trading of generators, for example, or whatever it is that makes life comfortable. I think that we need to change our mentality as Africans from always hoping to be considered as labor, as against wanting to become the one who creates the labor. I'm not discounting the amazing prowess and the amazing number of entrepreneurs we have in Africa, but I'm talking about the fact that a lot of our entrepreneurs do very, very small businesses and they are sometimes scared to venture into bigger things. The Lebanese, the Indians fail a lot, but as you try the more, your probability of succeeding becomes higher. Let's not be afraid to venture out. Let's not be afraid to look for the learnings from successful people, whether they are Africans or foreigners. And let's go for it. It is time for Africa to run and control its own destiny. See you in the next episode. If you like this video, like it, share it, and subscribe to this channel. See you.